just to illustrate a point that there is negative pressure outside. Okay. How do you prove it? Okay. The answer to that question author tells us is that as long as our glottis is open, it closes only when we eat, otherwise we are just breathing normally. At that time, the air pressure even in the alveoli is almost same as that of the outside. Means at least means you are sitting and suddenly you decide that for 10 seconds I am not going to breathe. Okay. At that moment, the air pressure in the alveolus and the air pressure outside is same. Okay. And let us call it 0. What atmosphere? Let us forget about atmospheric pressure. What side is outside, inside? So, it is 0. Are you okay so far? All right. Now, the pressures we are talking about are generally so low that I will not use the mercury manometer, because mercury has a lot of inertia. I will use a water manometer. Are you okay so far? Hello? I can use a water. Why can't I use water manometer? Okay. So, if you introduce a water manometer which goes right into the bronchi, okay, and then you fill in water and this is open to the atmosphere, do you find any difference in the water level in the right and left arm?
No.
No. What does it mean?
Same.
That the pressure in the bronchi and pressure outside, therefore, we call it at 0. Okay. Now, what we will do is, you will now use another manometer, water manometer, and this manometer is introduced not in the bronchi, but in the pleural space. Pleural space means what? In the space that is in the thoracic cavity, but outside the lungs. We will call it as what? Pleural cavity. And there you, what do you find? There you find that the water in this arm has gone up as compared to that, which means what? There is a lower pressure in the thoracic cavity. Are you with me? And that lower pressure is about as compared to outside, okay, is about in terms of water column, okay, it is about -6, -7, -5, 6, -7 centimeters of water. Centimeters of what? Centimeters of water, right. What will happen if the pressure, okay, let us presume this is 7 centimeters of water. What will happen if by mistake it drops to from -7, -6, -5, -4? If it drops to -4 and below, the lungs will simply collapse. Lungs will simply collapse, which means for the lungs to remain open, you have to continuously make sure that the outside pressure is negative. Hello, are you with me? It has to be negative. You have to make sure that the lungs are pulled from outside by applying the negative pressure, so that the air can, so that the lungs will open. Otherwise, please, otherwise the alveoli which is like this will just collapse. Okay. Look at the image on the this is the image from the previous slide, and I am going to couple it with this image. We are trying to look at the volume change in your lungs, okay, and we find that every time we take in the air, which is you have just started taking in the air, and then you take in the air and fill up your lungs, and now your lungs are full and in regular normal breathing. Look at the graph and tell me how many ml of air you have taken in. Half liter, 500 ml. How much is it? It's 500 ml. So, under normal breathing, under resting conditions, okay, for an individual of 70 kg, okay, how much air is being taken in and taken out, and taken in how much? 500 ml. Okay, we just take an average, but 500 ml is good enough. Okay. Now, why this is 500 ml is a question, and for doing that we have this image which we call as, we try to find out what is transpulmonary pressure. What is this transpulmonary pressure? Let us see what is, to begin with, let us see what is this alveolar pressure. Alveolar pressure is the pressure of air in the air, and when we, if you stop breathing, it is almost same as outside. But when you start breathing in air, for the air to pass in, there must be negative pressure generated in the alveoli. Okay? And that negative pressure that is being generated is from, if this is 0, it goes to about 1. It goes to about what? 1 centimeter. It is about what? 1 centimeter. Okay. 1 centimeter of what? Water column. Okay, 1 centimeter of water column. So, when the pressure, air pressure in the alveoli goes from 0, okay, 0 to -1, okay, to -1, less than that, -1, I am able to, my lungs are, both the lungs put together are capable of inspiring how much of air? Remember this equation, okay. How much? 500 ml. Okay, so if so, it has and when I expire, it goes from 0, it goes to +1. When it goes to +1, then the positive pressure is generated in the alveoli, and then I am able to expel how much of air? 500. So 500. So -1, take in 500, +1, give out 500 under normal breathing circumstances. Now, but this alveolar pressure, alveoli, what are they? I mean, they do not have anything. I mean, they are not muscular organ. Okay, so they depend on what? They depend on the pressure. They depend on the pressure generated by the diaphragm and generated by your thoracic cavity and your sternum. You see, that is your main respiratory apparatus. Okay, where does the power come from? The power comes from diaphragm. So now we are measuring, if we keep on measuring this pressure, we find that to begin with it is about 5. Here we are about 5, it is about -5. Now your information has come from phrenic nerve. As a result of that, the diaphragm has started contracting. As a result of that, the negative pressure is being generated in the thoracic cavity, and as a result of that, the negative pressure goes almost to 7.5. Where does it go? 7.5. So from 5 we have gone where? Where? In the thoracic, in the outside the lungs. Talking of outside the lungs. Okay, that translates. This translates into this. Okay, because outside it goes from 5 to 7.5, therefore in the alveoli it goes from 0 to -1. Are you okay so far? And that translates into inspiration of how much volume of air? 500. Translates to 500. And then exactly opposite happens, and then because of this happens, and because of this that happens. Okay, and we will call this difference as the transpulmonary pressure from here to here. We will call it as what? And the transpulmonary pressure is in a continuous rhythm. Okay, and it is because of, so when the transpulmonary pressure increases, we are able to take in air, and then when it decreases, we are able to expel the air from our respiratory system. Good. Now let us forget about the lungs, and instead of lungs I am going to take a balloon. Are you with me? I am going to take what? A balloon. But I am going to subject it to this phenomenon. It also for all practical purposes, it is, let us presume that it is very much like lungs, which means what? When the outside pressure goes from here to here, there is a balloon. Where do I put it? I put it in a bottle and then I seal it at the top, but it is connected by a tube. Okay, so the air can enter only via a tube, and in the bottle I can reduce the pressure. Okay, and if I reduce the pressure by, if I reduce the pressure by so much, inside pressure is being reduced by so much. Are you with me? Okay, this is outside the this pressure is outside the balloon. Are you done? And this is inside the alveoli, inside the balloon. And when the inside balloon pressure goes from 0 to -1, then in my balloon, how much of air should enter? 500 ml. Are you with me? Are you with me? 500 ml. Are you done, everybody, so far? Now, what I will do is now, I will remove that balloon. Listen to this. I will remove that balloon and replace it with another balloon, but this balloon has thicker walls. Hello, what did I do? What did I do? Replace it with what? Thicker wall. And I repeat the experiment. what response will I get? Will I get 500 ml so far? I will not get. I will, depending on the thickness of the, if it is slightly thick, I will get 400, if it is thicker 300, if it depends on thickness. So what am I talking about? There is a direct correlation between how much of pressure, fall in pressure is there, and depending on that how much air is getting into your lungs. Done? And that depends on what? That depends on the elasticity of the lungs, which I translate into the thickness of the wall of the balloon. Are you okay so far? This phenomena we will call as the compliance of the lungs. What do you call it as? Compliance of the lungs. So, you are a smoker, or you have had a lung disease, and as a result of that the tissue becomes fibrosis, the tissue responds. Whenever the tissue responds, it becomes fibrous, it loses elasticity, and as a result of that your lungs are not as compliant, which means what? The pressure change is there, but in response to that pressure change, you are not getting 500 ml of air. Are you with me, everybody? Okay. So it is the whole apparatus is so designed that if I apply so much pressure, so much air should come in. But if your apparatus is not efficient enough, it is not compliant enough, then you won't be able to get so much of what? So much of air, and then everything consequential to that will follow. Okay. So has everybody understood the phenomenon of compliance? Okay. Remember, we also talked about compliance when? Very good. So this is, we are actually talking about, here we are talking in terms of compliance because of. So this is just to give you, this is a normal lung. Okay. This is the lung of a patient. You know, what happens is when the lungs are infected, badly infected, the alveolar walls collapse. Okay. So then the alveoli, as if 4 alveoli put together in one. Okay, answer my question. As a result of a disease, the alveolar wall has collapsed, and now 4 alveoli have more or less joined into one. So total surface area is reduced or increased? Reduced. Which means your efficiency of your lungs has gone down. Okay. That's what. Read the importance of compliance there. A low lung compliance would mean that the lungs would need a greater than average change in the intrapleural pressure to change the volume of the lungs. We just want to find out how much of, we talked about 500 ml, okay, but when you are normally breathing, okay, you stop breathing, okay, or you exhale air and stop breathing, is your system free from air? No, some residual volume is already there. Okay. So, just to give you a rough idea as to what are the different volumes which are there in your respiratory system, there is a very simple instrument which we call as spirometer. What do you call it as? Spirometer has a mouthpiece, you put it in your mouth and keep on breathing gently, and then it is connected, there is a cylinder, there is a big cylinder, there is a water, there is another inverted cylinder. The inverted cylinder will have inertia of its own. You counter it with the help of this weight here. So this cylinder has no weight because you have countered it. Are you with me? And then you blow in and blow out, and then you connect it to a chymograph so that you are recording. So you go, it goes up, goes down, breathing in and breathing out. Now we will do this recording, and we come across some very interesting observations. If you are weighing 70 kg, okay, you are taking 500 ml in and out. To begin with, you are here. What do you mean by you are here? There is already about 2300 ml of air in your system. How much is there? 2300. It's there. And when you are breathing normally, you are going from 23 to 28. Are you with me? 500, 2300 to 2800. And 2800, 2300, 2800, 2300, are you with me? And we will call this as tidal breathing. This is a tide like, comes and goes, comes with every, it is 500, right. So we will call this as what? Tidal volume. What do you call it as? Tidal volume. Now what I will do is, I will ask you to use extra strength, okay, and try to take in as much air as you can, deep breathe, deepest possible breathe. In that particular case, you will find that now you are going from 20 and 100, you are almost going to almost 5500, 600 ml, deep breathe you have taken. Okay. What do we call it as? We call it as the inspiratory reserve volume, we will call it this. Now, I will do opposite, I will ask you to blow out as much as air you can, and then you will go here, you will go deep here. But even if you go deep here, your system still has about how much of air? 1200 ml of air. So, 1200 ml of air is always going to be there, you can't get rid of it, it is always going to be there. Okay. After exhaling maximum amount, and depending on that we have different words, inspiratory capacity, vital capacity, you can read about, but this gives you a general idea as to in what limits our now we are going to, oh, this is interesting, just look at this. Now we are ready to take the first breath, are you with me? We will call it as breath number 1 or breath number 0, whatever. Now whatever air you have taken, normal breathing. When you say normal breathing, okay, you have taken in air. So how many what is the volume of air that is in your system now? 2800 ml you have taken in. Okay, 20. Now what I will do is every molecule of air, nitrogen, oxygen, whatever, every, I am going to put a red dot on it. Okay, in imagination, I can do that. Okay, red dot. That's all. Now, that's all I have done. I am not going to put any more. Now you breathe out and you breathe in. Okay. Now this is second breath now. If that was the first, this is the second one, and I try to look at it as to how many of those red dotted molecules are still there. Are they there? Yes. First breath, are they there? And then look at the second breath. Are they there? Some of them are there. Okay, those which were taken in that first one, and then go to the third, and go to the fourth, and go to the 8th, and go to the 12th, and go to the 16th. What is the message author is trying to give us here? That we do not replace all the, no, for all the molecules to be replaced, it may you may have to take 20-25 breaths for all of them to go. Okay. Can anybody guess as to what might be the nature's purpose or rationale in giving this kind of a system, when actually we want fresh air? Okay, but this is not fresh air. Okay. The stale air is going to remain in your system for quite some time, and it's so are you replacing the air? Yeah, you are, but you are very gradually replacing the air. Okay, I will give you the reasons. One of the reasons is the lung wants that every molecule of air that is in every alveolus should have exactly body temperature as yours. If you were to replace, supposing you have a situation, have 100 molecules, replace 100 molecules. There is every possibility that those fresh 100 molecules have the temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, whereas the temperature in your alveoli is 37 degrees. Are you with me? No, you can't subject the cell type 1 of your alveolus to what? No, number 1. Number 2 is you want to make sure that humidity stays. Okay, because if humidity does not stay, then the dry air will dry out or evaporate the water level in your lungs. Okay. So, for this reason you want to keep a very constant atmosphere you want to maintain at the level of alveolus. Therefore, the nature has taken this phenomena in which you do not replace all the molecules in one go. Okay. So, a part of it. So, there is a new part, there is an old part, but old part, so gradually, okay, with several breaths, okay, you keep on. This tells us about the importance of the slow replacement of the air. Okay, I will discuss this slide and go. If you carefully see the slide, you see two types of arrows. Can you see them? What type of arrows are there? Those are straight arrows, those are curved arrows. Okay, you will find that the curved arrows are there mostly in the alveoli. The message here the author wants to give us, the straight arrow indicates the flow of air. The flow of air. Okay, but the flow of air will rub on a surface. Okay, but when it comes to alveoli, the system does not want the air to rub. Finally, it has to diffuse. Are you with me? So, those curved arrows indicates what? That means the atmosphere in the alveolus is absolutely free of turbulence. Are you with me? There is no turbulence, okay. There is a gentle diffusion, okay. Without any turbulence, the gases are being exchanged. Means what? Some of the old molecules will be taken and some of the new molecules will be brought in. Are you with me? But they are being brought in by what process at the level of alveolus? By diffusion. Are they being brought into the alveolus by way of flow of air or air current? No. No? Okay. Okay. So, this is so for an alveolus here, there is no flow of air. Okay, there is just constant and steady. Okay, look at it. There is a absolutely constant and steady atmosphere with the same amount of oxygen and same amount of carbon dioxide in the alveolus always. And it is our duty to have an elaborate system to make sure that that homeostasis is maintained.